All right, here we go. Opening song. I went with 90s. I'm on a 90s kick right now. So we're gonna miss like the best part, which is the chorus with like that real solid yeah. All right. So hey everybody, Shane Rice here, kicking off the Growth Marketing Team weekly recap and demo day call. My job as we kick off this call is to bring a little bit of fun with the music and then lead us right into metrics. So I'm going to do that. Let me share my screen so you can see this week's update. All right. So as we look here, we are 65%, almost 66% of the way through the quarter. I'm not going to go in depth on these because I also want to cover an update on some of the things we've learned in the website refresh and some of the metrics around that. So I'm going to really just kind of skim this section. Users, page views, this trend is down. This is what we expected. Because last year in September, we announced our Series E, which kicked off a really high level of traffic that we can't really replicate. And then we also were running display ads at this time that were contributing several 100,000 page views a month that we're not getting now. And that's because we've refined our display ad targeting, improved that. And so there are some changes there that from last year that we can't really replicate in 2020. But the good news is that the changes we made to CookieBot are having an impact. We're able to see more of the traffic that's coming to about.gitlab.com and docs in EMEA specifically. So we're really excited about that. Mql commitments. The good thing here is that our pace is picking up in every segment, and I added that as something we can look at here. The pace in large increased by 3.35%, up 2.75% in mid-market, and then 2.71 in SMB. So the lows we were seeing in August, we are picking back up from that, and the pace is continuing to increase. So I anticipate we're going to see increases into October as well. We'll keep an eye on that and update you there. So looking at the metrics update on phase one of the website refresh. So this was what we started with here was creating the enterprise page. And so when we created the enterprise page, we went from 0 page views to almost 1,000 page views a week, which is really exciting. I think one of the things I want to point out here is that we also see that as the page ages, we get more people entering the site from Google. So that tells us they Googled something about GitLab Enterprise and they ended up on this page. So I anticipate that we're going to see this continue to pick up pace as we go into the rest of fiscal year 2021 into quarter 4. Anytime we build a new page, it's not just like flipping a light switch where we turn on a new page and people just start landing on there from search results. It takes some time for Google to crawl and index and then look at this page in conjunction with other pages we have and other pages that might be ranking for related terms and decide that this is the page they want to deliver. Excited about this, especially like I said, the organic side of things. Moving on to the homepage hero. So one of the things we did in phase one was create the motion to begin to update the homepage hero every few weeks. And so I want to call out a couple items here. For anybody that is not thinking about this or doesn't really know how we think about it, I want to show a couple of things here. Number one, where the nav trial is. So we have a CTA in the top nav that says get free trial. And then we also have in the hero, we have 4 different CTA. So you can click on download the ebook link. You can click on either of these buttons. You can also click on the image. If you click on the link in the image, it takes you to a piece of content. If you click on trial, it takes you to the trial page, demo to the demo page. So we made some changes here, some tests late August, early September. So I've called these out specifically. This is the number of events in the hero. So we're specifically looking at clicks on elements in the hero. And this is the number of events per week for the hero. So when we move to commit, you see that drop just a little bit. And then when we only offered a trial in the hero, you see that drops even further. Which, for us, I think a key takeaway here for me and for a lot of other people in growth marketing was our expectation was that reducing the number of calls to action in that hero would increase the number of clicks. And that's not what we saw. So I think, looking at the data we have, my hypothesis is that free trial is it's a high friction motion. You have to know that you want it. And so offering other pathways gives people a lower friction way to kind of connect to the next step within, learning about GitLab. So, and then I also want to call out here that when we, so right here is when you start, we started the commit trial, the commit hero trial, and then we moved to a single trial in the hero here. And so that's where you see this, the orange line here is people clicking on get free trial in the nav. So the trial is still a very important part of our motion, even though when we go to a single trial, the clicks actually drop. The nav item is showing us that people still want to learn about our trial, even when it's not the front and center offer. So I thought that was an interesting thing we discovered in some of this motion as well. And then let's see. Yeah, that's it. I've been working on this morning, so it's still kind of work in progress, but I want to share what I have today for this call. Phase 2, we're going to be looking at that. Becky is looking at the top 100 pages and just seeing what we've changed over the last 60 days, 120 days, and so we'll have an update on that next week. I've offered to help her put that report together, so hopefully we can present that on this call next week. So with that, I'll stop sharing my screen. I saw some things popping up in the chat. Are there any questions there? Hey, Michael, you had a question. Do you want to verbalize it?
Yeah, you've mentioned a couple times about the influx in traffic last year because of the Series E announcement. And it just kind of popped into my head that not all traffic is generally good, but there are some forms of traffic that are much better. So, there's expensive traffic that you pay for that naturally it's like the wider net and you're getting less qualified leads. I just wanted to ask if that's how you're looking at this dip in traffic this year. Is yes, the numbers are down year over year, but and is there a way we can kind of tie the large increase of traffic last year and show that yes, the year over year general traffic is down, but our conversion rate or our success metrics are holding steady, or are they in fact maybe increasing because of our focus?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think, you kind of have hit a question that I have, and I think Danielle has as well, is, our page views the metric our team should be looking at, right?
Oh, interesting.
Because, we're in a position where, there are, lots of variables that we don't control, that our team doesn't have a direct impact on. And so, we want to measure the things that we have the most impact on. And so I think what you're saying, conversion rate, clicks to trials, inquiries, those kind of, MQLs, those kind of motions are things that, we can impact with how we update the site and how we, work on information architecture and present CTAs on pages. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think the other side of this is, we're looking at year over year traffic. So we're looking at the last 12 months. And when you do that, that's when you get a lot of trends that you can't control. So now, we're going to enter October, and then at the end of October, beginning of November is when I think we made some changes to display where we weren't getting as many visitors from display, right? So if we look at this as a year-long process for the next 10 months, we're still going to have that bump dinging us, and we're still going to be trying to compete against that bump, right? But if we were say looking at this say October 2020 to October 2019, then we're looking at a one month window when we're competing against something that we can't replicate. And then when we move into October, we're in a window where, hey, this is more, of a normal time for GitLab last year. How are we doing compared to that?
Right. And I think last year was that anomaly year. There's always one, I think it's every 4 or 5 years, where there's technically an extra week within the year. Obviously this is sort of weird way of thinking, but it's just the way the weeks fall. There's obviously still 365 days in the year. We're not changing the calendar, but the way the weeks fall, there's actually one more.
Yeah, you get more business days.
Right.
Out of the calendar. There are a lot of variables like that we need to account for, I think, in all of our metrics. But definitely when we look at page views and what we're seeing there, it's something we're concerned about. We want to be on top of, but we're considering, is this the best measure of our team success, since there are variables here that we don't control.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for walking me through that, Shane.
Yeah, of course. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Luke for show and tell.
Awesome. Thanks, Shane. So kicking off the show and tell portion of the call. So Just a quick reminder that anyone can contribute anything that they've accomplished for the week that they're proud of, and we'd like to show off to the team and the wider community. So, and then also screen sharing is highly encouraged so we can see what you're talking about. So looks like first up is Niall.
Hi all, yeah, I'll just share my screen. So one of the things I was working on this week is we deliver a lot of keyword targeting information and content gap analysis information to content teams. So I was trying to find a way of providing this that's easier to use and kind of more beneficial. So it's just a run through of the new template we put together. So basically it's just a rundown. We group the keyword targets per topic on the page. So it's just a simple drop down menu for each one. On top of that, then each one of the keywords are already scored in order. So it's obviously top down, but we use the intent modifier system to target specific terms within the long tail keywords to try and group them based on where they fall within the buyer journey or the funnel system. So it's kind of easy to use, can be filtered that way as well. But also then if you pick a specific keyword you want to target, like so, you can just go to the start file here and you can click and it'll show you the current top 10 ranking articles online that are coming up for that result. But the second thing is we can quickly see whether we have something on page one for that also. So it means we don't start cannibalizing our own keywords. So it's a way of kind of amending that from the starting point instead of trying to find an issue after it's already launched. So I think it should be beneficial for the content team. So we'll start using this to get some feedback and see how it goes. That's me. So just going to hand it over to Bree.
That's really cool, Niall. I will be harassing you about it later. I just wanted to point out 2 case studies that were published in September. Conversica, which was an AI company that adopted GitLab Ultimate for CI/CD and end-to-end pipeline visibility. Also, Peisler, there was a case study on the site, or there is a case study that existed for Starter that they adopted a couple of years ago for SCM, and they've recently upgraded to Premium for CI/CD. I didn't share my screen because I selfishly want you guys to add page views to the case study, so please click on them. Also, FYI, Val has moved over officially starting today 50% to the content team from the editorial team fully by the 15th. So if you happen to miss that in the Slack channel, I just wanted to just add a note in there about that. And next is Lauren.
All right. Here we go. Sharing my screen. Okay, so this week I've been working on the DevOps comparison pages and the folder and SEO structure of those. So the first thing is I removed the prefix from the vendor versus GitLab pages. So all of these link to another page, and I'll do GitHub, for example. We now have nice clean URLs without .html. That's going to help SEO. And then the next thing that's going to deploy today is I'll stay on the live site, and you can see that these decision kit URLs are decisionkit.html. And there's an MR, here's the MR review app, where we're just going to change this to /decisionkit. And again, that'll be good for SEO. And the last thing I wanted to share is we hit the Fastly API limit this week, or last week, and the static site editor group. And I worked together with infrastructure to get that increased. So this is also another reason why we need to get in and fix those DevOps comparison pages quickly before all the vendors are moved over, because we don't want to keep adding thousands of redirects to our redirect file. So that's what I've been up to, and I will pass it over to Michael.
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to share, I'll share my screen here. Some work that Matt and Brandon were up to, because I think this is really cool. And if it doesn't get a little bit of shine, it kind of doesn't make sense, nor does it the importance of what it is actually land. So we are working towards a marketing site design system, and that's going to come pretty quick, and we're going to move fast on it. The first step to kind of land why we need this is the kind of painstaking task of going through the site and starting to document all the different things. So an audit, so things like buttons, like and Matt and Brandon, Matt taking tons of screenshots, going through page by page, showing like we have all these different kinds of buttons. So many buttons. Why so many buttons? Very confusing for our user experience. Same with forums, etc. Interesting to go through. So what we do is we want to go through this and we want to identify, well, which ones do we want to align on? You know, why are we loading so much code to, you know, make this watch now button versus another watch now button, like have uppercase and lowercase? That seems fairly bizarre. So yeah, really cool work that might seem boring, but once everything comes together, it'll kind of land. And these things are important because it's these little touches that start to erode our brand, that consistency. It loses trust from our people. It kind of makes us look sloppy. So if we're saying, hey, give us a ton of money for this enterprise level experience, but we don't have everything nice and tight in ours, you know, we got to put our money where our mouth is. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. I'm looking forward to sharing more and more of our progress as we go through the end this last month of Q3 and into Q4. So expect more. And yeah, thanks Matt and Brandon so much for you know, it's kind of mind-numbing work, but it's very important. And then over to Brandon.
Yeah, let me set up my screen share here. What I want to talk about today, it should be just a quick item. I just wanted to kind of, you know, as we're building out new parts of this, as we're trying to work more modularly, like, you know, here's a section of the page that we can reuse over and over again, and that becomes templatized, and then that becomes a CMS module. I'm hoping that we, as we're doing that, also document this. Part of the reason is it's good to have documentation in case, you know, someone, the knowledge doesn't get lost if we document it, our typical handbook value. But also, you know, it's just good to have in case we work with vendors who, you know, need to know about the code and what it does. So this is just a simple handbook page. It goes over the video band and, you know, what it is, you know, screenshot of it, and, you know, code examples, and kind of format the data needs to be in so that we can use it. Any other minor things that need to be added to the page. So, you know, maybe you have a code sample here of what it looks like, but maybe you also need to add a CSS file somewhere. So yeah, that's just a quick one. Kind of don't have too much to add to that, but I just wanted to let you know that there's a handbook page there now. And I think that might have been the last one.
Cool. Let's move into the shout out section for anybody who wants to say thanks or give some gratitude for people who helped you out this week. Matt, you've got the first one.
I do indeed. Thanks. Thank you to Shane for sharing the heat map information for the enterprise page. I like a heat map, but I love a spreadsheet, and he gave both. I've been creating my own spreadsheet trying to determine what's going on and finding out that the language we use is really separate from the interaction that we plan. So I'm getting some super valuable insights that if we use a verb, people will try to click on it, even if it's clickable or not. So it's causing me to think a little more strategically about the language we use and the intention of the functionality. So thank you, Shane. It's a big, boring spreadsheet, and I love it. And it looks like next we got Lauren.
I wanted to give a shout out to Shane and Brandon because for reviewing my MRs and code. I really appreciate getting a second pair of eyes on that. Now over to Bree.
Just a shout out to Luke for once again fixing my logo image that needed to go on the case study homepage. So thank you again. I'll get it right one of these days, I promise. Next is Erica.
I just wanted to give a big shout out to Jackie and Agnes. They have led a couple of calls this week that have just been really great for cross cross-functional alignment, getting all of us into a single document to pull together our prescriptive buyer's journey. And it just feels like a big game changer overall for what we're doing from a demand gen perspective and how that leads into content and product marketing and all of the things. So just extremely grateful for their leadership on that. And Shane, you have the next one.
Yeah, thanks. So I think this is something we've multiple people have shouted out before, but I want to give a shout out to Danielle and Becky for all the hard work they do to help make sure our team is aligned around our iteration flows and that we're working in GitLab and not our inboxes. And personally, I really appreciate how Becky will reach out to me and ask me for a follow-up if I'm needed on something, because sometimes, even on a board, you can not realize that, somebody needs something from you. And I just really appreciate how we, can work together in GitLab. And it's just, it's been a big improvement. So thank you all. And I think Chrissy is next. I'm guessing. I started typing, but her name's not in front of it. So is it you, Chrissy?
It is. I forgot to add my name. I will do that right now.
We got it.
But
we got it covered.
Perfect. So I wanted to thank Michael and Marcel for their help and patience on a YAML blog I was working on. Their expertise is freely given and it's so appreciated. And they really embody this this cross-functional thing because Michael's on the developer evangelism team. Marcel is a technical writer. Marcel is in Japan. Michael is in Germany. And I was able to collaborate with them on a blog that I'm really happy with. And, as content writers, we don't have the expertise. We rely on expertise from others to be given to us so that we can turn that into a story. So I thought that was just a really great GitLab story and they are so appreciated. And next is Danielle.
Yes, I just wanted to thank everyone who's been helping me close out a lot of old issues. So we have, in addition to our project, we have the www.gitlab.com repo, which has a ton of old stuff. Some of it's really interesting and probably stuff we should do. So if anybody's watching this video who works at GitLab and filed an issue in there 2 years ago, I swear we are slowly working through them, cleaning them out. So I know I moved some things and people pinged me and were like, hey, I think maybe you didn't mean to do it that way, but everyone was super nice about assuming good intent, which just feels good when you're doing something really kind of dry and administrative. So thanks to everybody for just being friendly and helping me get us more organized. My goal is that your boards are only full of things that you have to think about, but that also when people add a suggestion, like anyone in the company adds a suggestion for the marketing site, that they feel like that'll actually go somewhere to be considered. So I think we also just got a lot of goodwill on the team this week by replying to old issues. So just thanks for everybody who helped me figure out what things mean and what they are. I think that I might be last. Anybody else? Shane, are you ready to play us out?
Oh, dang, I forgot play out music again.
You have time, you have time. So there's no town hall items right now, but I do want to encourage everyone. I think it's good. That's always a section we do not recorded. So just a reminder to add things there if you want to talk about them. I'm vamping now for Shane.
Thank you. Let's see.
I'll just keep requesting Spice Girls until it eventually happens.
Oh gosh, I need to make that happen. It's not on this list though. All right, how about this one? This is a classic. Going out with a classic here. Can't go wrong with Tom Petty. All right, y'all. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your Friday. Talk soon. See ya.